Okay. So we'll give it a couple of seconds, let everybody connect. Okay, and was that everybody that was in the waiting room?
You have just one more person, it looks like, in the waiting room, and then you can get started. Okay, I think you're good.
Cool. All right, so hello everybody. Welcome to the 5th ASI Convo Corner. For this week, we have Rihab, who is the new president-elect, and as well as a couple of her incoming board members. And we'll just be talking to them a little bit about who they are as individuals and why they decided to join, and some other questions that you all may have about them. Please send in the chat box, and I'll be sure to read them off. And with that, we'll go ahead and start the Convo Corner. I would just like to ask Rihab, as well as her incoming board members, just to say a little bit about themselves. And I'll go ahead and start off with Rihab.
Hello, my name is Rihab Shuaib. I am a fourth-year human resource management student here on campus. I've been on the ASI Board of Directors since 2018. And I first started as Student Activities Commissioner, and this year I'm serving as a Vice President of Finance. So I joined ASI because I was just really looking for different spaces that I can be involved in, and it really was a place that allowed me to advocate for my fellow students and learn more about myself as a leader, and really just challenge me to be, more of a critical thinker and more of a person that could, do things that I thought that I couldn't do before. So that's
Cool. Thank you very much. And Jonathan?
Hello, everyone. My name is Jonathan Molina Mancio. I'm going into my third year here at the Mingas. I am a business finance major with a minor in language and linguistics. And the reason why I wanted to join the board was because, like Rahab said, I wanted to get involved. I honestly was not that familiar with ASI, but working with the EOP program, I was able to be exposed to different things on campus. And I met someone that was actually on the ASI board. Many of you know Caroline. She pushed me to run for this position, and it interested me a lot. I wanted to, voice students' opinions, voice their concerns, and that's honestly what pushed me to run for this position, to voice the students' concerns and opinions and be their voice on campus.
Okay, and then I also noticed that we have Ev here. If you wanted to introduce yourself and say a little bit about yourself.
Oh yeah, of course. Thanks, Christian. Hello, everyone. My name is Ev. And the reason why I wanted to be a part of ASI is because I have a lot of experience with community organizing. And I really appreciate the community organizing and organizing around different events. I've organized for like fast food worker rights, for women's rights. And so considering all the experience that I have, I wanted to bring that to a part of ASI, just because like I became familiar with ASI because Rihab and Itzel are my friends. And so I know that there's always going to be things that need to change because the DH population changes with the students that come in. And so I noticed that like in order to serve these students how they need to be, then there needs to be some change. And so and change is always a good thing. And so that's why I was just motivated to become a part of ASI, especially because I kind of had like the inside scoop of like the love that goes into ASI from being a part of the closed closet intern. And I really loved that. And so I just wanted to grow from there. Because the community has helped me, and so I just want to be able to give back to the community. So being director of student services, I feel like that was a great fit for me, and that's why I became interested in ASI, because I love that community outreach and that support that they gave to me as an incoming transfer student. So I just wanted to be able to give it back.
Cool. And then each of you decided to run for your own individual and unique positions. So if you can talk a little bit about what specifically drew you to that position based off of your background and interests. Rob?
For me, being in ASI from 2 years ago, I never really thought that I would see myself like in an executive position after my first year. I didn't even really plan on coming back, but it's really just like the work that is done in ASI is just like very passionate and very fulfilling to me. And I really care about like giving back to the students and being that voice for them. So when I was coming into my role this year as VPF and going on that journey of being in an executive office, I'm able to see like the different positions at a different level now. So being able to see, you know, Christian and you and what you do, you've definitely like inspired me as a student advocate and as a student on campus to just like try and really push to help students to the best of my ability. So I thought that running for president would be a really great opportunity for me to just like take that next step of advocacy and also take that next step of learning about, you know, the campus and different ways that I can influence change. So it was really a combination of like my experiences in ASI, the work that I do, and then also having really passionate leaders that I can look up to.
Thank you. Would anyone of either Jonathan or Ev like to comment on that question?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Evie.
Oh, no, it's fine.
I'm not sure if everyone can hear me. I'm cutting out a bit.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Well, part of the reason why I went for the position that I did, I'm going to be the incoming college representative, student representative for the College of CBAP, College of Business Administration and Public Policy. Part of the reason why I wanted to do this was because, you know, I wanted to first get more involved with ASI, you know, dip my feet in a little bit slowly, and this position was, you know, vacant, and so that pushed me to run for this position. Also because, you know, being a CBAP student, I realized that there was a lot of change that needed to be done within the college, going back as to why I ran, because I saw that there's only, you know, certain business advisors, counselors that we could go to, and there's so many business students, as we all know, and so I feel like that needs to be changed, more business advisors. But mainly that, because I wanted to change some certain things that I saw within the college.
Gotcha, thank you.
So part of the reason why I wanted to become the director of student services, it's I found myself using a lot of the different affinity centers and student services that were there, just because, again, like I'm a transfer student, so that transition from community college to DH was very different for me, and so I found myself using a lot of the student services, and just being a part of the affinity centers is where I felt more comfortable, and I was able to like truly submerge myself into the DH community. And so similar to Jonathan, I also saw that there was more that needed to be met in the different affinity centers and the different student services that are available. And so considering that, you know, this is a commuter campus, I wanted to see like what changes could be made to make things more accessible, more interesting, to call into more of those students that, like, you know, quote unquote, like to sit in their cars and not actually connect with the PH campus. Because again, like I was in that myself until I actually got out of my comfort zone. So because of the different like challenges, because DH is a commuter campus, so like I recognize that within myself and with my other friends on campus, and so like I started to question like what I can do. And then again, like from being in the internship position, that's where I saw like, hey, you know, like there is a director of student services position that oversees all of this. And so if I already am asking myself like what what can I do on my small part? I can only imagine the change that can happen when becoming director of student services. So that's how I wanted to fit into the director position. So yeah.
Cool, thank you. And so this one is for Rahab specifically, as somebody that has already been in ASI for a couple of years. Just what are some of the things where you notice the student voice is really impactful on, that kind of can speak to why student leadership is really important, especially on college campuses?
I feel like our voice is important every single space that we're in the academic senate, in the UBCs, the academic senates, the university budget committees, the student fee advisory committee. Students are able to voice, the different issues that they see going on with things that are being brought to the table. So it's really important to get that student perspective because we are the ones who are the most affected by most of the decisions that happen on campus pertaining to budgets, pertaining to parking, different things of that sort. So just having the students be able to go in on those committees, to go and speak with, the presidents, to go speak with the VPs, it's very impactful for us to be able to voice everything that we know the students are going through. And it's also really good for them to hear that perspective as well, because if students are not being consulted in every single step of decision-making process, it doesn't really help them in the end. They're the ones being the most affected by those decisions. So I've definitely seen it in my committees where a student will speak up about, hey, why aren't we talked about inside of this shared governance document? And that was like a really amazing thing that you were able to do, and like having this entire document about shared governance and having the students and the official student voice be represented in that document. It just goes to show how like one student speaking up can affect change for the entire campus.
Got you. And would you be able to speak a little bit about your current role as well as the previous role you held in the year before this?
Yeah, so this year I am the Vice President of Finance. So I oversee the ASI Finance Committee, and that's where we make all of our financial decisions. We do our budgeting processes. We do budgets for ASI, budgets for the CDC, which is Child Development Center that we own and operate, and then also just make any financial decisions that happen, throughout the year. So something that we were able to do this year, just out of a whim, was see a need for hot meal cards for students suffering from food insecurity. So being able to have different space for us to make financial decisions that can go on to create, a great service for students on campus. And then the year prior to that, I was the Student Activities Commissioner, and that was a funding commission for clubs and organizations. So that's where all of the clubs who wanted to have, some larger scale events were able to come and ask money for their events. So we funded many events with that budget, and we had about $9,000 that we were able to allocate to different student organization groups and also departments on campus.
Cool, thank you. And can you talk a little bit about some of the troubles, or if not troubles, some of the kind of techniques you use to balance being in class or other responsibilities, as well as maintaining these positions or this position?
It's something that I'm still trying to figure out, honestly. It's just very, it's a very, I don't know how to describe it, but it is very important to have that balance. So, you have to dedicate this much time to school, you have to dedicate this much time to ASI, this much time to work. And honestly, it does get stressful at a time, but it's really about prioritizing, for me, prioritizing my immediate needs and making sure that I'm not overexerting myself for, this day, when I know that this day is a really stressful day for me academically, then I won't go and have, these meetings or try and do something that I know that I'm not able to do at my fullest capacity. So it's really a give and take. Some things, sometimes they do, slip up a little bit, but just to know that, okay, that is a mistake that I made, but I can pick it up and I can change that in the future. So it is a learning curve for me.
Got you. And So I'll go ahead and ask these questions. Some of them are kind of general, to where the other board members may want to chime in. And I guess I'll start with this one. What are just some of the biggest issues that you've noticed, or some of your peers has noticed, with Dominguez Hills that could benefit from additional student input?
Biggest issues that we can use more student voice is the lack of advisors for a lot of students on campus, specifically me in CBAP. We have 3 advisors, and that's something that is like not really, it's not a good strategy to have only 3 advisors for the largest college on campus. So it's something that we could really use more student input in, having those students who are experiencing this, because you're not just the only one experiencing this, to step up and say, okay, this is going on, is very beneficial. Parking is something that students talk about constantly, about not having enough parking spaces, not having anywhere to go to park, and then having to pay, this large amount of money every single year. And then also class scheduling and the availability of classes on campus. So for me, I have a lot of friends that are student parents, that are first generation, that have a lot of different things going on in their life. So they're only able to take classes at certain times, and when those sections fill up really fast, it's really a detriment to them to be able to get the classes that they need in order to graduate on time. So I say those are some of the 3 that I know of.
Got you. And a lot of these conversations, and you kind of already have an insight on this, will be held with upper administrations or upper level staff within different colleges or departments, right? And how do you kind of balance and weigh the different perspectives as a student coming into a potentially difficult conversation with somebody like that?
That's a good question. I feel like it's important to come in with those student stories, because it's very hard to refute someone's experience. You cannot say that, what a student is experiencing is not valid, because it is happening to them firsthand. And then I also feel like it's important to have the facts to back up what you're saying, and be able to have those follow-up questions, and know different things that you can say and bring up that will just justify your point even more. So it is kind of hard sometimes for me right now to speak up in those meetings, because I'm like, okay, do I have enough information? Am I going to get this back talk from this person? Is what I say going to be respected? And I feel like sometimes you not think about that and know that what you're doing is for the best interest of your students. So to always speak up and say what you have to say. And if, there is information that comes from that, or a change that comes from that, to be able to relay that message back to your students and continue the good fight, and also keeping students informed the entire way through.
Gotcha. And if you can kind of provide some insight or some incentive or some sort of motivation for the students that may be currently on the call or that watch later, as far as the value and benefits of participating in ASI, or just supporting the different surveys and other things that we put on.
Yeah, I feel like ASI is a really great resource for students on campus, but it's hard to be really great resources when not that many people are invested in what you're doing. So if you are, knowing of ASI and seeing the things that are going on, and you just have a little bit of information, always come in and talk to us, because we're very forthcoming with information. You can email any of us while we're in this situation that we're in right now, but it is very important that where your students' advocates are, and you can come and you can get any information regarding the campus that you need from us. So I feel like it is very important for students to feel confident and feel empowered to come into their student government and ask those questions, because we are running on your dollars. This is your corporation, and we are responsible to you. So it's important that the power that you have as a student to come in and talk about the different things that you see going on campus. We are the ones that are going to do our best to go and change that for you. I think it's also important for students to get involved in ASI, just to come to our ASI meetings, to know what's going on, hear about the campus updates, to just come into the office and partake in our programming and our events, because it's great to be able to get involved in college, And then also just to like know about, you know, your board of directors. Go and look at, well, we're not on campus right now, but look at our social media and see the different things that are happening there. So it's very important to like be involved, especially in an organization that is dedicated 100% to students. It's students making the decisions, and also that is running on student dollars completely. And we wouldn't be able to do the work that we do without you and your input. So continue to provide it.
Cool. And you know, just kind of paying attention to what's happening in the environment, right? A lot of students are having to make a drastic switch from being in person to a virtual reality now, right? And that kind of carries weight as well with the student leadership position. Whereas when you were on campus, you had your own source of motivation. And now being, you know, predominantly behind a laptop or another computer for the majority of the day, how do you continue to be motivated and still have a commitment to the campus activities, albeit virtually now?
Yeah. It is really hard to do when you're not on that campus and you don't have that, you know, direct community with students. It's something that I have definitely struggled with during this time of just feeling not motivated and feeling like I don't really have, you know, that community that I spent so much time building, you know, on campus. But it is still really important to take part in the different things that, you know, are being paid for. And it's like you're paying for it regardless. I just feel like always try and step up and use those services, but it's also um, reasonable to understand like the different issues that students are going through. Sometimes people don't want to get on, you know, a Zoom call or a little event because they're going through real life. And it's also just still important for those students to let us know the different issues that they are facing so we can try and amend those, even if they're not able to come and partake in the different, you know, campus events and campus things that are going on. It's important for us to know the different ways that students are being affected by this pandemic, because it is affecting everyone differently. So the more, you know, student voices and experiences that we have, I feel like the better, the easier it is for us to go and advocate to, you know, help them throughout this time.
Got you. And a question came in from a two-time listener, so thank you for coming back. But the question was regarding last week. They asked President Parham a question around the clinical science program, and they unfortunately haven't heard back, right? So although this is a specific, you know, incident, things like this will happen where a student may ask a dean, a faculty member, an administrator, so on and so forth, a question, and they may not hear a response back. And they may come to you or another board member being in a position of privilege and or power. So in situations like that where one of your peers is not being heard and they come to you, how do you plan to ensure that you can get them a response or some sort of answer?
I feel like it is important to just continue following up with different things that are happening. So if I'm hearing that a student is not able to get, you know, the different courses that they need because there aren't enough sections open, I feel like that's an issue that can be brought up in a team Toro lunch where we go in, we sit with the president and his cabinet, and we talk about these issues to try and get that answer. And then always, you know, try and bring that student in so they can speak, you know, from their own experience. And if I'm not able to, then relaying that message back to them. So it's just about, I feel like, following up with the different executives on campus and seeing like, hey, this is what a student is facing. And then trying to bring that information back, because we never want students to feel like what they say is not being heard or not being taken seriously.
Got you. And just to kind of take a nod to some of our more previous conversations, one of the weeks we talked about mental health, right? And in hearing you speak and hearing some of the things you'll be facing, right? How do you plan as a student leader and with all the other things to balance and to keep up with your mental health and not, you know, go crazy for lack of better words?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm in therapy, so I guess that's helping me a little bit. I feel like it's also really important if you're able to seek those services of mental health. It's been very beneficial to me to be able to speak with someone about the different things that are going on in my life. And I have people in my life that I know want to see me succeed in this role. So it's very empowering for me to like have those people that are like championing me to like continue on, do this work. So having that support system is very important and very great for me. And then also having the mental health resources that I need in order to just make sure that I'm all good and that I'm not taking, I'm not putting myself at a, in a bad place by taking on this.
Got you. And you spoke a little bit about a support system, right? Which I find to be very helpful, as I'm assuming you do as well, right? And for the student leaders or the people that may want to lead in another fashion, how did you go about either finding that support system and or really appreciating the value in it?
Mm-hmm. I feel like my support systems came from just like being involved on campus and going to different spaces, meeting new people, and hearing other people's experiences. I was able to see like the different ways that I could be involved on campus, and then having like those people motivate you to continue to do good in your role. So it was very beneficial to me. I started off as an orientation leader. And that was like a really great experience for me to like first get involved. And I feel like my team that I had there was like very, great and supportive my first year there. So I was like really happy, and I felt like doing, this type of work on campus was really beneficial. And I feel like coming into the different spaces that I've been inside of the, QCRC, the Rose Black Resource Center, the Women's Center, like in all these spaces I find, and I meet all these different people, and it's able, and like they've all encouraged me and helped me to be, the woman that I am today. So it is very much about just like going out there and putting yourself out and like finding people who love you for who you are and just appreciate you for being the person that you are. And then those people, want to encourage you to go on and do great things. And I feel like a lot of my support system also comes from my friends too, because they are just really awesome people, and a lot of them are doing the same type of work that I am, so they understand, what I'm going through and are able to give me that motivation, that push. So trying to find like-minded individuals, I feel like can be very helpful.
Got you. And here at ASI, we do have our 3 core principles, right? Advocacy, student leadership, and growth, right? Can you speak a little bit about each one of those components as you've now been in ASI for 2 years going into a third?
Mm-hmm. I feel like advocacy piece is like super important, and I see that every single day in ASI. It's the work that we do in our committees when we speak up for the different students and how they may be affected by decisions. It's the work that we do when we go to the California Higher Education Student Summit, where we go and we talk with legislators about the different ways that they can help DH students excel and help the CSU system excel. And I feel like it's also just in our day-to-day interactions with administration and faculty when we bring up, the issues that we just see on campus, even as our own students. Sometimes I know that I'm affected by an issue and there are other students that are affected by it. And I know I have a meeting with this person. I can just bring this up and maybe it's something that they can go and they can look into. So the advocacy piece is really important. I feel like the leadership is just, the student growth aspect of it. I just feel like when you come into ASI, I am not the person that I was when I first came in. And I feel like I've grown a lot as a student and as a leader, to be able to just do things that I never thought that I would be able to do, to speak on a public forum like this, to go and meet with students and talk to them and try and get signatures, to just know the different ways that I should conduct myself in different settings. It's very, I feel like a lot of that has come from the different leadership development workshops that I've gotten in ASI with our graduate assistants. It's just been really awesome for me as a student to be able to have this experience where I feel like I'm in a professional setting, but also I'm still able to be a student and still be able to learn and grow from the opportunity that I'm in. So it is kind of like a job, quotation mark for lack of a better word, like a job, but I'm still able to grow and change and become a better student advocate in the world.
Got you. And to open the conversation up to some of the other board members, Although they may not have as much experience in ASI as you do, right? Everybody, like you mentioned, had to go through that signature process to get the people to sign and to kind of begin to get the interactions with students as far as letting them know who you are, what you're about, and things like that. So I'll let you start, and if any of the other board members feel comfortable, just talking a little bit about what that signature process was like.
Yeah, the signature process, it was a lot this year for me, especially because I kind of spaced it out and it took a longer while to get them, but I needed 100 signatures. So that's going around and that's talking to 100 students on campus. So it was for me, it was somewhat easy because I know a lot of people on campus. So, and I know like different spaces where, there's bound to be a lot of people in this space at this time. There's going to be a lot of people at this space on this time. So just like knowing that, it was kind of easy for me to like go and talk to those people that like I know will be there. I feel like some of the more challenging part about it was when you go up to a student and they're like not interested in what you have to say at all. And they're just like, why are you talking to me while I'm eating my salad? And you're just like, please stop my thing. And it's kind of like awkward. So I feel like that was something that was kind of challenging for me. But to go up and walk up my first year, to walk up and talk to a complete stranger and tell them about ASI and what I want to do, it was very difficult for me because a lot of students also didn't really know what ASI was. So I had to like educate them on, okay, this is what ASI is, and this is the position that I want to do, will you sign my petition? So that was kind of my experience.
Gotcha. Okay, and being a one of the first women presidents that we've had in a while, right? What was that kind of mindset for you, right? As you carried on this new position, coming in, and do you see any different challenges that may come with it, or?
Oh my God. I don't really see any challenges as being. I don't see any one that I feel comfortable saying right now. But for me, it is very empowering to be like one of the first women presidents in many years. I am really excited to take on the role and very nervous as well to just see the different things that I will do with it. And I know that being a president is different for each student that holds that position. So I don't really see any challenges related to just me being a woman, but just challenges in general as like being an ASI president. I feel like it is going to be a bit of a learning curve, just a little bit for me to just be able to feel confident stepping into this role. Yeah.
And the reason I asked that question, right, is because there are a lot of people out there that may not feel that they can hold a position of leadership, right? And speaking a little bit to you as somebody that feels that even though you're a woman, right, that you can still hold a position of leadership, right? So speaking to some of the empowerment or empowering some of the other people that may not feel that they can step into a leadership position as you have.
Yeah, and I think it's very important to see like more women president because that is a major demographic of our students, and I don't think we've ever in ASI had an issue with women being in ASI, but when we look back, like there aren't many women that have stepped up to be the ASI president. And I think that just goes to like just some of the things that sometimes women face with like imposter syndrome and not feeling that they can step up to a position this high. But I would want every student on campus to feel empowered to come into ASI and to take these, take an application to go and run for office because it is a really great experience. And I would definitely encourage more women to come in and step up to not only executive positions, but be the next, president. It's very doable for any student, I feel like. So I feel like it is, important for us to have more women present.
Got you. Thank you. And then I'll kind of ask you, what are some of the biggest initiatives that you either plan on bringing from a previous year or starting yourself?
For me, something that I would like to see on campus, well, within ASI, is more academic internships within ASI. I would like for us to have, an internship for every single college so that students are able to come and know, okay, this internship is offered through ASI, because sometimes it is kind of hard for students who have not been able to do like network and be able to find internships online, for them to be able to come on campus and find a really good internship within ASI. So I would really like for us to have those internships to be for every single college within the campus.
Got you. And I'm not sure if Ev or Jonathan wanted to speak a little bit about some of the things that they wanted to bring forward into this year, if anything at all. So if we could see if we can unmute them or give themselves a second.
One thing that, as Rihab mentioned earlier in the meeting, and that I mentioned as well, is I definitely want to bring more advisors on board for the College of CBAP, because as Rihab mentioned, we only have 3 advisors, and for 3 advisors to advise, one of the biggest colleges on campus, I feel like that's too little. And seeing recently how the CBAP college also won, a recognition award for being one of the strongest business colleges in the Cal State system, I feel like we should move more resources towards there, and keep strengthening this college of CBAP that we have, since it's growing so strong already. Seeing the new business building being built, I really hope to bring more advisors on board, hopefully at least 2 more, so we can have 5 and just keep growing from there.
So for me in my position, some of the things that I was have been thinking about for bringing forth some change, I wanted to do more connecting, similar to Rihab and Jonathan, with my department, since I'm a sociology major. I also feel like that's one of the one of the other biggest departments there. I know there's a lot of sociology students. And so I wanted to just have more connections with like professors and students with ASI, and establish some sort of like connection there, whether if it's like events or extra credit or something that professors and myself like come up with. Just because like looking back on my experience and my friend's experience, we've gotten a lot of the resources and knowledge and information and help to move forward as a successful DH student. We've gotten them from some of the affinity centers. I know I've gotten a lot of help and growth from the QCRC. So establishing some sort of like connection, like, hey, like if you're a sociology student, like, participate in XYZ student affinity centers, and like, we can incorporate it in some way like that. That way there's like more community in the sociology department, and there's more community in the affinity centers. And with the affinity centers, from being in there, another thing that I wanted to bring forth some change. I know that the pandemic has kind of put a pause on it, but I wanted to bring forth some more space, like physical space for the affinity centers. But considering now that everything is online, I just wanted to still bring forth that, like, that energy still to the affinity centers, just because they're already moving in a successful way, but to do more connecting. I know there was a few events last year that ASI helped with. So I wanted to do more of that, more of the ASI and with the affinity centers, and more connecting with like the different departments, sociology specifically, with ASI, just because I feel like that's how students' needs are being met. So those are the 2 different ways that I wanted to go about it, or that I had in mind so far.
Thank you. And for Rihab, right, what are one of the things that, if you travel back 3 years, right, that, you finally decided to kind of join ASI and you went through the process of things like that. What was something that you wish you knew then that you know now?
I feel like I wish that I knew that sometimes things do not happen in the way that, you thought they would or as fast as you would have wished that they would. Working in higher education, things happen very slowly, and you think that, okay, this new thing is coming up. They announced it in this meeting, but it actually doesn't come to fruition until like 3 months later. It's kind of something that I wish that I knew. I feel like I also wish that I knew that that it is like, not that I didn't know that it was going to be work coming in, but I feel like I was a little, I didn't know like how much work, you would, need to put in for ASI and the hours that you would come in on Friday and have these meetings and coming prepared. I feel like I learned a sense of like preparedness that a lot of the time like, I would just show up to things like not really like, okay, you're supposed to like look over your agenda beforehand, know like the different topics that are being discussed upon. So I think like the preparedness is something that I wish that I knew a little bit.
Got you. And as far as, using the different resources, right? So can you speak, and being an ASI, right, you find out a lot about the different resources and little smaller things, right, that as a student that you can benefit from, that the larger population may not know about, right? So can you speak a little bit about some of the resources that you may have used or may know about that other students can use to be successful while at Dominguez?
Um, I feel like I never really knew about scantrons in ASI until I joined ASI. I didn't know that you were able to have like funding for your club or your organization. I thought, clubs, you just find that money how you can, but to be able to come into this space and ask for $500, which is a lot of money, I feel like that was something really cool that I didn't know about. I didn't know about I feel like honestly, I knew a lot of the resources that were on campus because I worked as an orientation leader. So just knowing about like the health center, like going in there and get a cold pack, I feel like that's something that's beneficial to students to go inside of ASI for free scantrons, go to literally any of the resource centers on campus, and you can probably find condoms and a snack. So it's like different things like that that you learn from just like being involved on campus and just knowing where different things are on campus. So I feel like it's always good to like get involved because you do learn about those different resources that are on campus. Okay, one thing I don't know about at all until I was in ASI was the emergency grant. So that's something that I learned about completely from ASI. So a grant that students are able to apply for in times of emergency. I think that's something that's really awesome. So, if you're ever in a position where you're struggling, you can use, more income. That is a really good resource for students to be able to go and tap into.
Got you. And unfortunately, right, in knowing that ASI does kind of have a limited or smaller board than usual, right, how do you plan on advocating for those areas that may not specifically have a representative or somebody to kind of speak on their behalf?
Mm-hmm. I feel like it's about kind of, if the board doesn't get completely full, it is important to like divide that work up between people so that someone, in ASI has that information. So if we don't have a call rep, I'm like, okay, can anyone go and meet with, Dean Mitch? Is anyone able to go and meet with that person? And if no one's able to, maybe I'm the one who's able to go and meet with that person. And okay, these are the different things that I'm hearing from the students to like bring that information forward. And I feel like it's also important to like just go around and talk to students from time to time, even like if you're not, if I'm not doing anything, to just go around and talk to students, talk to my friends. I feel like I get a lot of really good information from my friends about the different things that they're going through and the different things they have going on. So going into different student, areas where you can talk to a big group of students and you can hear everyone's perspective, I feel like that can give you a really good window into, what students are facing in their college or with the affinity centers. So I feel like it is very beneficial to just go and have that one-on-one contact with students.
Right. And so as we kind of wrap up, right, and we have a little over 10 minutes, I'll just give you something or give you the floor to see if there's anything that you would like to share with your incoming board as far as the information that you know now, right, that you think they may be able to benefit from.
Yeah. I feel like honestly, completely, that both of you will do really well in ASI. Just seeing the way that, just knowing that I have been able to meet both of you and work with both of you, I think both of you will do great in ASI. But it is just very important to know this is a place for advocacy to be done and to be able to go out and speak to students and know the different issues that are happening is very important. So I would always remind you to just be humble and to be know that you are a steward of the students and that is your main priority here in ASI is to serve them and make sure that they are having everything that they need. Sometimes things come up to where it is very difficult and hard to balance, the schoolwork, the job, and also ASI, but just always remember you are a student first and your education should always be your number one priority. You should always feel, never feel bad about saying hey, I can't do something because I have class or I have this. It is really important that we remain students who are, doing the best that we can and not letting the other pressures and things that are happening fall onto us and make us feel that, we're not able to do our jobs to the best of our ability. And yeah, I'm really excited for next year and I hope that both of you are as well. And I think it's going to be a really great opportunity for us to see, the type of leaders that we are within this space of COVID and not knowing, if we're going to be back on campus next fall and different things like that. So just take every opportunity that you can to learn and always, feel comfortable coming to me with your questions, your concerns, different things that you hear are going on. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Okay, and so, let's say I'm a student right now, listen to this, or stumble upon this, right? How do I know what positions are available for me? How can I sign up? Right? How do what do I do if I'm a student that's interested in joining ASI?
Yeah. So if you go to the ASI website, I think under the Get Involved tab, you can see the ASI Board of Director application. And on that application, it gives you a brief synopsis of what that individual does and what their role includes. And then I will also say you can read that, you can do the application, but you can also try and meet with any of us in ASI, any of the students that you see, on that board of directors page. All of our emails are there. So always feel comfortable just contacting us and say, hey, what is it that this position does? I would really like to know more about that. So I feel like it is really also great when board members step up to explain things to students about different things that they know and how, okay, this position does that and they usually meet with this person. So it is really cool for board members to go out of their way to share that information with students to get them, even more excited about getting involved and turning in that application. And I feel like if you're thinking about ASI, even just a little bit, I would say get involved because it is a really great experience to be able to be in this space. You learn a lot about the campus, you learn a lot about yourself, and you learn a lot about just how, to serve students. So I would say just turn it in, even if you're 5% interested, turn in the application because it is a really great experience to be able to do the work that we do.
Thank you. And with that, I guess I'll give the floor to Everjohn to see if anything that they're looking forward to. Any last closing statement as an incoming board member. I'll go ahead and provide you some time to say that.
So for me, I'm pretty excited. Same way with Rihab, for the incoming year, just because if the way that we're in this new online continues, then it's going to be interesting to see, just because Rihab, myself, and the other candidates that are the other people who are coming in for this new board, like, we're adjusting within ourselves, and then we're also having to adjust to be able to better serve our student community. So I think it's going to be interesting regardless of how it plays out, whether if it's in person or online. I'm excited overall, just because personally I just enjoy helping. So yeah, I'm just excited. I know that there's like a lot of different student voices that need to be heard. A lot of different resources to add to that are already existing in place. And I never like a little bit of that, considering that once we finally so being able to help and address those student needs, and to be able to meet them successfully, and to make sure that all student voices are being heard, that's something that I'm looking forward to. Because again, I'm just a big helper. And so I'm just excited overall. It's something new and something that I'm learning from myself, and something that I'm gonna be learning with the community and with my other directors. So yeah, I'm just excited overall, no matter the challenge.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Similar to what Ev said, I'm also excited to see how, we're gonna adapt, I guess you could say, to this whole situation, whether we return or not. I'm excited to see the innovative ways we find to work together as a team. I'm excited to work with this new team, this new board. I'm excited to work with other people in ASI, and more than anything, develop myself as a leader, and also just voice these students' concerns, and in general, just represent the students within my college and try my best, to voice their concerns, their opinions, because at the end of the day, that's what I'm here for, to assist them and to voice what they want. So that's what I'm mostly excited for. I'm excited for this new year that's incoming, all the new challenges and everything, but I feel like it's going to be an exciting year.
Cool. Thank you. And with that, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap up this week's ASI Convo Corner. So again, thank you for those that attended. And this week's special guest was Rihab, as well as Ev and Jonathan, who are the new ASI incoming board. And remember that these ASI Convo Corners are posted on our website if you would like to refer somebody to it, or rewatch them yourself, right? So again, thanks for coming, and hope you enjoy it.